Hello. In this video, I'm going to be showing how to use the show dialog function in JDA. In a nutshell, what show dialog does is it allows you to pass a dialog into a loop and have it happen for each item or row in the loop. So for this example, I'm going to be using JW Viquitoff, and we will be creating a dialog to be passed into this loop. So the first thing with a show dialog is it does require either a multi-select or a for each. So first we'll start off with a for each. Alright, so as far as the show dialog is concerned, you'll find it under Functions, Dialog, Show Dialog. Now it doesn't matter where exactly you put it in the document. The only requirement is it has to be inside the loop that you're pointing it at. So I usually just like to put mine right next to the for each. This is just an empty, this won't populate any text or anything. It's just kind of like the beginning for each. It doesn't actually show up. So let's talk about the different parts that we have to our show dialog. As you'll see, it gives you a set of parentheses with a comma. So before the comma is the dialog you're going to loop. After the comma is the field or helper that you're going to pass to that dialog from your loop to give the user that's generating the document some context as to which dialog belongs to which row in your loop. So let's get a dialog created to show this. Now, when you're creating your dialog, there's only one part that's absolutely necessary for this to work. Give your dialog a name. We'll call this test info. Now the part that you need is, as I mentioned before, after the comma, you're going to give it a fill point from your loop that it's going to then turn around and pass into your dialog for each row that it's looping on. So in order to specify where that's going to land, in the dialog title, you can we'll type test info 4, and here's the character that you use. It's an @ symbol, var, @var. So what's going to happen is when I use this dialog with a show dialog inside a for each or a multi-select, it's going to replace this @var with whatever I specify in the show dialog fill point. So we'll give this some caption here. Okay, so I'm going to add this. Now, with the first part, let's come back to before the comma. When you're entering which dialog you want to select, all it needs is the title of the dialog, or the table if this was a data source. So similar to how a for each only needs the beginning part of, it doesn't need like an actual field inside your table, it just needs what it's called. That's how the show dialog is for this. So you can either type it in, or if you're like me, I like to just insert a fill point so that it puts that part in and then delete the fill point part off the end. So what you have here should line up with what is said here. So for the second part of the show dialog, you need to specify a field from your loop, whatever you're looping on. So in this case, I'm looping on JW Viquitoff. I need to specify a column from JW Viquitoff to go after the comma. So I'm going to select full name, insert it in just like that. And those are the two parts that you need for a show dialog. Now after that, all I need to do is now all I need to do is actually insert my dialog fill point wherever I want this to show up in my loop. So we'll insert the full name of the person here, and then we'll actually insert the dialog here. So now I'm going to give this a preview, and you'll see there are my 3 victim witness officers, and it passed their full name into the title of the dialog so that I could see. So I know that this is the test info for Stu, and here's the test info for Brain, and here's the test info for Tanner. So let me just to kind of iterate what this is actually doing. If I delete my show dialog off like this in preview, now I just get a single dialog. It'll pass it into my loop, but it won't be distinct. It doesn't give me three different tech boxes for all my different Vicwood offs. It just loops through. It just takes that one thing and sends it through all the loops. So the show dialog allows you to take any dialog you want and loop it through a for each or a multi-select. That's pretty much the only requirements. The for each, multi-select, and then you also in your dialog you need an @var so that it can pass whatever you specify into that dialog title. And that is how a show dialog is done.